Difference.
Uncle, good morning.
What you say?
Uncle.
Good to see you with your blue.
Hope you're
I've
fine.
told you before. I've told you before that blue looks very good on you.
Yes, you've said it. Then
Yeah.
I would sew a lot of, different shades of blue.
Well, how are you doing?
I'm fine. I believe you're fine too.
Yeah, I am. I missed you last week.
Yes. But I'm here
Yeah.
with lots of
Okay.
energy.
All right. Okay. All right. I'd like to begin my presentation today with two quotes. One, there is hope, even when your brain tells you there isn't. And that's from John Green. The second quote, being able to be your true self is one of the strongest components of good mental health. And that's from Lauren Fogel. Once in the 70s, I worked with snakes at my department, inquiry department in those days, shared the floor of the building with a small private company. There was a young man who worked in that company who was more or less the office assistant. He was the youngest in the company, but he carried himself with so much dignity. He never bothered anyone. He was never absent or late, and he just did his job quietly. My colleagues and I admired him a lot. We admired the way he carried himself with so much dignity and how he was consistent with his work and how decently he dressed all the time. Then we came back from one weekend to be hit with the news. The young man had taken his own life. We were all shocked. We had so many questions, and the whole thing did not make any sense to any of us. He did not seem to have any problems or issues. Although he was quiet and kept to himself, he was also always cheerful. What was it that made him take his life? When I was in secondary school, I had a senior whom we all admired. He was a perfect gentleman. He came from a very good, well-to-do home and was dropped at school every morning in a car when almost all of us came by trotro or bus. Wow. But he was always dropped in the morning in a private car with his two cousins who were his juniors. He was a good mixer. He was great in hockey. He played the guitar, and he was generally an all-rounder. I left school in 1974, a year after he had left. Our paths did not cross for years. Then in 1979, when I was at the university, I saw him. I was in Commonwealth Hall, and my brother, Kweku, was at Mississauga Hall. And one day, when I was going to see Kweku, I saw this senior of mine from secondary school loitering around Mississauga. And he seemed like someone who was going out of his mind. I was shocked and very disturbed to see him this way. I mentioned it to Kweku, and he said, oh yes, he comes around very often, although he's not a student here. Kweku said, he loves to come to my room to chat, but you are right, he is losing his mind. What would make such a wonderful person lose it? My first encounter with mental health issue was at South Central when I was about 6 years old. We had a very strange case at South, at least strange to me. There was this pretty woman who lived at J Line, and every day from morning till evening, she paced up and down a small veranda of the house, dressed in her best. I never saw her outside that house, but every day from sunrise to dusk, you would see her pacing up and down the veranda that could not be more than 10 feet in length. I was so young to understand what was happening, and I was rather afraid of her. And so, as much as I could, I avoided passing in front of her house. What was her story? Well, I never gathered the courage to ask my mother. And that reminds me of the case of one of my friends in secondary school. He had an obsession on a girl who was 3 years behind us. He tried to get her attention, but the girl simply would not give him the time of day. The snubbing took a serious toll on my friend, and it affected his studies to the point that from being one of the best in our year, and from being one who was expected to excel in the final exams, he flunked the exams completely because he could not control his mind to study or to write the exams.
Oh.
Listen, you never know what someone is going through. Mm-hmm. You never know what someone is dealing with at any point in time. As a counselor, I am always amazed at how much people deal with and still manage to put on a cheerful facade. The courage many people exercise every morning just to get up from bed and face the world with a smile will amaze you. People are dealing with a lot. The problem is you never know anyone's pain threshold. You can never know how much someone can take before they break. You never know what can become the last straw that breaks the camel's back. I believe that we should all watch our mental health and try not to let issues pile up in our minds. We should learn to deal with stress better. But in addition to this, we should try to look out for one another, because you never know how many times that colleague of yours in the office has contemplated taking his or her life. Mm-hmm. You never know how close that cheerful neighbor of yours is to giving up altogether. We should cultivate a habit of making things easy for everyone we deal with, because you never know how much they are already carrying and how close they already are to breaking point. As much as it is possible, give everyone a smile. You never know what a difference it will make for them. And be nice to people, especially on the phone, because you never know how close to breaking point that person on the line is already. We are all damaged in one way or another, and to one degree or the other. I think it would be wonderful if we understood this and accepted this, so we could create a community of broken people who are committed to supporting one another in any way we could. I believe that is when we get to live our best lives. So hang in there, dear listener. Hang in there. Life is not fair, but life is beatable. And remember that the sun will come up tomorrow. So don't give up hope. I would just say that's my presentation this morning.
Thank you very much, Uncle. The sun will definitely rise tomorrow. We don't have to give up hope. Thank you.
No, don't give up.
Very much for joining us.
Hang in there, Wilson. Mm-hmm. You and the Super Morning team. You come every morning so cheerful. But we know that even if you don't have problems, I'm sure pocket-wise, there are a few concerns.
Uncle, you should see how all the boys are here cheering you for saying that. Well, you're right. I mean, everybody has a problem. And I remember having a conversation with a psychologist, and, he asked the question, how do you cope? And who's looking out for you? It's true.
Who's looking out for you?
Yes,
Yeah. You guys cheers up every day.
Yeah.
The question is who cheers you up?
Food for thought.
Yeah. Hang in there, my brother.
Thank you.
Hang in there.
Thank you very much, Uncle Whyte, for joining us with Food for Thought here on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. It's now time for the Joy Business